Nancy Rathbun. Thank you for purchasing our Be Merry block of the month. This is the demonstration of your month 6 blocks. We have 2 stars, the Christmas star and an evening star. So the Christmas star is done first. It's the large star, and it has some of the elements that we've been using throughout our previous months, and then a new element. So I have my star laid out here, and I'm going to demonstrate how to piece the first instructions, which are the Piste Triangles. So to create our Piste Triangles, it's made up of our small square and then a background triangle. And according to the instructions, we're going to position this triangle right on the corner of our square. So these 2 points of our triangle are going to hang off, but everything else is going to be equal. And then we're going to take our seam from this far right corner down. You're going to do this to all 4 of your small squares. Once I have one positioned underneath my sewing machine, I don't really think about it. I just make sure that my next piece looks exactly the same as the piece before. Normally when you press to the dark, but because this is a light background piece, it's going to be easier for us to press this towards the triangle, towards the light. So I'm going to press these, and then I'll be ready to sew on my next triangle. So we've sewn the first step with attaching our first little triangle. The second triangle is going to go on the opposite side. Again, you're going to line up the corner of the triangle with the corner of the square, and we're going to sew down this side here. I'm just going to rotate that and sew that first seam. And now I'm going to position all of my other Piste Triangle units exactly how I see that, and sew all of those together. So what this creates is it just creates another triangle unit that we'll use to sew our Christmas star. So I'm going to press these also towards the background triangle, and then we'll be ready to position this with our Christmas star and finish our block. So now we have 4 Piste Triangle units with our little aqua square and our background triangles. So this makes up a triangle that is going to be pieced into a flying geese. It's going to be the same method that we created all of our other flying geese blocks in previous months, where we position the corner of the triangle with the corner of this triangle and the bottom, and we're going to sew these green star points on either side to create our flying geese section. So now we have our flying geese unit sewn together, and this is going to be sewn together for the Christmas star center. So you're going to sew flying geese on either side of your center block, and then your top and bottom rows. So the next section that we're going to sew together is the Christmas star frame. So the frame is made up with the outer triangle units, your second star points, and your backgrounds. So these are sewn together almost like a flying geese block. So this section here is going to be even with the outer triangle, this gold section. And we're going to sew from this end to this end of the triangle unit. When we press that open, it's going to give us a parallelogram. And then we're going to sew the other background on. Parallelogram section sewn together. And now we're going to sew our other cream section as well. So it's important to position this about 1/4 of an inch of that outer triangle piece exposed here. Otherwise, this won't meet up and you won't have a seam allowance. So we're going to have 4 of these sections here. And if you've done this right, you should have 1/4 of an inch from the point of your gold triangle to the edge of the background section. So that's going to be your seam allowance. Then we're going to sew these last two stars, and we're going to make this even here. So you're going to have a little extra hanging off of this edge. So to create the Christmas star frame, here's a little close-up of how you're going to sew your background stars. You need to position this on top of your gold piece with 1/4 of an inch just poking out from underneath. That's going to allow us to have 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm going to sew all of these together, and I'm going to position them one right after another so they look the same for each section. So again, I'm making sure that on each end, it's easier to see on this gold side, that I have 1/4 of an inch hanging under. These are going to be pressed towards my background. So I'm going to press these, and then I'll show you how to sew on the second background triangle. So now we have our background triangles sewn to our gold triangle, and we're ready to sew these corner squares on. And on this section, just like a flying geese unit, this bottom part will be even, and then up here where our seam allowance is, you're going to have the excess hanging off about 1/4 of an inch. So we're going to sew one of these red star points to each side of our unit. So here is our finished Christmas star frame section. So I'm going to go ahead and sew together our Christmas star, and then I'm going to sew the frame sections all the way around to complete our Christmas star block. So we're going to finish sewing this block together by completing the Christmas star center with the center section and the top 2 rows. Once that's completed, then we're going to sew the outer on by creating the top 2 rows and then sew these sides to the center. So I'm going to sew this block together and you'll see the completed block. Your month 6 blocks are now complete. We have our Christmas star and then our little evening star, which is a very simple block made up of flying geese units and corner triangles with your center square. So please stay tuned. You have one more month, which is your finishing kit, and I'll be demonstrating how the whole quilt gets put together and all of your borders. Plus, we're going to be embellishing with buttons. Thank you for watching our Be Merry Block of the Month demonstration.